There's a reason that some of us feel like this year is already slipping through the cracks. Not because time is moving faster, but it is moving pretty quick, because you're letting the present get built by default instead of letting the future pull you into alignment. Welcome back to another ROAM podcast, Realtors on a Mission. I'm Darren Langille, always your host, and this is what we do here. We cut through that noise because we know there's so much. We stop pretending the problem is always just another script away, maybe another app, another trend, another tactic, and we go find the thing underneath the thing. Today I want to talk about time. We all have the same amount of time, but not the way that most people talk about time. This is not going to be about time management. This is not going to be about productivity hacks. This is not pretending that if we just organize our calendar a bit better, suddenly our business is going to behave. No, there's truths to a lot of those things, but that's not what today is going to be about. What I want to do is I want to talk about time as a tool for our business, because I recently listened to Benjamin Hardy's book titled Time as a Tool. And honestly, it hit me hard. It woke me up, and it hit me again. And I wanted to connect it to you because there's a second book that Benjamin Hardy wrote called The Science of Scaling. And he talked about this idea of like raising the floor. And we're going to dive into this. These combinations shook me, and I wouldn't be a good host if I didn't share this forward with you. Because so many agents are living as if time is simply happening to them. This week happened. This month happened. This quarter happened. This whole freaking year happened. And then they look up and say, well, where did it all go? Right? But that question usually hides a different truth. It went exactly where you allowed it to go. Let me say that again. It went exactly where you allowed it to go. And that is not meant to be harsh for the sake of being harsh. It is meant to wake you up like it woke me up. Because a lot of agents are not behind because we don't care. We're not like a laissez-faire to this business. They're not behind because they're just simply too lazy to get the business working. They're not behind because they're not trying, right? They're behind because the future has not been strong enough to help them shape, again, to pull them in the present. And that's the conversation for today. Because if you really get this, time stops being the thing that we blame, didn't have enough of it, went too fast, and it starts becoming the thing you use as a tool, and that changes everything. As I walk you through these podcast frameworks, I always want to give you a bit of the why behind this. Let's start with our reality. Can we do that? Right? Can we start with the why? Most realtors do not measure life in hours. Why would we? We got in this business to have some flexibility. But what we do measure this business is in money, right? We measure it in deals, right? The number of homes, right? In opportunities, in appointments, and whether the business feels alive or not, right? So when I say I want to talk about time, I am not talking about becoming more productive so you can just feel better about your to-do list or these dollars. I am talking about using time in a way that actually moves the scoreboard forward. That is different because a lot of agents are active, right? We're doing things. We're waking up. We're filling calendars. We are busy. We are moving. We are answering. We are managing. We are juggling. We are negotiating. We are marketing. But if we're being honest, a lot of that motion is not creating much at all. It's just simply motion. It's maintaining. It's reacting. It's keeping things afloat, right? Just above the waterline. It's handling what's in front of us. And that's one of the biggest reasons time feels like it's going so damn fast. Just like, right? Because reactive time feels fast. Scattered time feels fast. Default time feels fast. It's just, I got to get through the day. You wake up, we grab our phones, we answer a few things. One issue turns into two to three. Somebody needs me for something. My inbox, as it is right now, fills up. A client texts me. A deal gets weird. You remember 6 other things you forgot the day before, and suddenly it's all of a sudden lunchtime. then the afternoon goes the same way, then the week goes the same way, then the month goes the same way. And it's because we're moving the whole time. You tell yourself we're doing best, our best. And maybe we were, because that's all we know. This is the world we live in. This is the time that we figured out. And that's the punch, right? Activity and alignment, busy, not compounding. Compounding is not the same thing. That's the punch. We can be full all day with beautiful time blocks and not building a future that we want. We're just filling up the bingo card of things that were done. It might feel good as if it looks like I'm getting closer to this beautiful moment to say bingo, but it doesn't matter so much. So here is the core idea about this time as a tool. Your future, I'm going to need to say this twice. Your future is supposed to pull your present into alignment. I know that maybe sounds a bit funky. It sounds a little woo-woo-woo, but when I heard that on the audiobook, I had to pause it, replay. So let me say this again. Your future is supposed to pull your present, right, into the now, right? This is the future gold star of a life you want. Your future is supposed to be this magnet, right, that's pulling you, right, and just right into alignment. And that is this whole episode. Your future is supposed to pull your present into alignment. Now, not your feelings, not your mood, not your inbox, not your notifications. These are the things are not supposed to be pulling you. Not the random things that are feeling urgent, like if I check my phone right now. No, it's your future. It's the future that drives the decision. So in Benjamin Hardy's interview, he asks and he talks about the importance of aligning daily actions with a higher purpose and describes raising the floor up, right? Raising the floor up. So baseline floor for the day, right? Meaning baseline activities that we got to handle, right? Some are a little bit bigger than others, right? That's what the baseline floor talks about. Is letting go of the lower standard items, the things that just enter your day that you allow to enter this, and raising the floor up as if you could. Now the new floor is here. If you're watching this and you're seeing the video, you're seeing the elements, even these tall, seemingly important items, don't meet the threshold for your new floor, do they? All of these items would be seen as noise if you physically go through the exercise of raising what the floor is, right? This is a new frame. The floor is a new set of standards, right? Frames the future as something that should shape present actions rather than be dictated by the past items that always entered your wheelhouse and continued to fill up that calendar like I showed here earlier on the screen. This is a massive idea because, friends, when the future is weak, right, that if that lighthouse goal, right, that's sitting there, that tall, and you got the rocks, and you got this lighthouse shining, if this is not well defined, right, if it's weak, it's fuzzy, if it's optional, the present gets filled with default items, all the low priority elements. Defaults do not feel dangerous when they happen because there's a reason, right, that you're allowing it in. It's some version of urgency by somebody, right? It's a thing to do, right? They feel small. I'll just get to it now. I'll just check that off the list. I'll just answer that phone call. I'll just deal with what's in front of me, and then I'll just get through the day. That is how people lose not just days, but years. Not in one big collapse, because these are bite-sized items. And we all have enough energy because we're trying to put food on the table that we can keep tackling these over and over again. And it tells us that we're feeling busy. See, it collapses in tiny, tolerated defaults. TTDs. Let's call them TTDs, right? Tiny, tolerated default. That is why I do not think most agents have a time problem when I'm trying to pull that book over to us in agent world. I think we have more of a future problem. We haven't defined this and what it truly means, because the future, if it's and when it becomes clear, the present starts to get a lot cleaner. If we know we need to chase this thing in this amount of time, you will decide to maybe let go of a bunch of these defaults. Many of these things will not enter your day, but more of the bigger ticket items that matter may be allowed in, and you'll achieve them. Is that starting to make sense? You start seeing what truly matters. You start seeing what does not. You start noticing the difference between what creates and what is just merely maintenance, right? You start noticing what is speeding up time in your life, just getting through the day. And once you see that, this is an overused phrase, but you cannot unsee it. So let's translate this concept, this theory, into more realtor-specific language. If an agent says, I want 24 deals, right, in this year, that sounds good. But 24 is not what they need to focus on today, is it? Hell no. That is too far away to govern a random Tuesday as I'm recording this, unless it gets translated into something specific. So let's try to translate that, right? If you want to do 24 deals a year, well, this breaks down into 2 deals a month, doesn't it? Okay. Now ask the real question. How many real conversations creates 1 deal for you? It's not how many views. It's not how many posts. It's not a lot of the things you're doing. But what it becomes, it's a number of real conversations. Maybe this is 20 for you. Maybe this is 15. Maybe it's 25. The real estate industry, the coaching world, typically uses like 40 to 60 new convos, creates 1 deal. All right. 20 conversations, let's say 40 to 60 conversations for deals. So again, back to the simple math around what enters your floor, right? If you want 2 deals a month, that is 2 deals times 40 equals 80 conversations per month. You divide that by 4, that is 20 per week. Does that make sense? That means 20 per week, you divide that by 7, or let's say 5, because you're going to maybe outwardly create new conversations 5 days a week. So this becomes 4 per day. All right. Now the future's starting to get really real. Right now the future is not 24 deals. The future is 4 per day. Now with that enabled, with that in your world, this is a completely different thing to create what enters your world. What items enter your new raised floor, right? If your old floor was down here, your new floor has been raised. And is it going to get you 4 convos per day? I would like you to ask yourself, what are all of the items that are currently in your world that are allowing it to be old floor that would no longer make the cut in your new floor? Now the future can actually pull us forward. Now your days have a direction. Now the time blocks that we talked about earlier, that we said this wouldn't be a time management day, has clear direction. Your time gets a true job because it's the elements that poke over the new threshold only. The calendar is not just a record of what happened, it becomes a tool for what needs to happen now. But you needed to go through this exercise first. And this is where the agents, most of us, will break, because you won't allow yourself this opportunity to raise the floor to what matters the most in your real estate business. And how you get to those is different for every one of us, right? Because the minute the daily number gets clear, we also realize how much of our time has been protecting everything except that item. Let me say that again, because you're listening to this probably on an audio. Because the minute your daily number gets clear and you bought into this concept, you start to realize how much of your time has been protecting everything else that could get done in this business except creating your future. This is supposed to hurt. When I think about this in my world, it hurts, you guys. All right. I always want to pull together a couple like non-real estate examples. You guys know the book, do I have it here? Atomic Habits by James Clear, right? His work also connects to this idea. So let me give you a few points as I pulled out of the book. He says goals are good for setting direction, but systems are best for making progress. He also says results have very little to do with the goals you set and nearly everything to do with the systems that you follow. And in the same piece, he quotes one of his mentors, Bill Walsh. The score takes care of itself. This is such a clean way for us to say what realtors need to hear, because most agents are obsessed with the score, right? The deals, the GCI, the listings sold, the month-end numbers. There's nothing wrong with that. We need to know those numbers. Then you get to pat yourself on the back because you achieved it. But if all you do is stare at the scoreboard, you miss the one thing that actually creates the score, and that's the system for you. That is the floor, the repeated daily standard that enters your world. So when I say your future should pull your present, that is what I mean. Your goal drives the direction again, but your system determines whether that future ever gets that lucrative vote on your Tuesday calendar, which is right now for me again. And if the future is not shaping the system, then the present gets shaped by what, you guys? Everything else that should never enter your floor. And that is how time this is how it speeds up. All right. So how do we actually use this now? Not in theory and not as just a nice little thought, even though it's a pretty damn good thought, but out there in the real world, right? I want to give you a simple path. All right. Step number 1, make the future specific enough to challenge your present. Make the future specific enough to challenge your present. Do not tell me you want to grow. That means nothing. Do not tell me you want to have a better year. That means nothing. Say the number. Get romantic around 12 deals, 18, 24, 36. Say the number, and then put the timeline on it. I want to do this many deals by then, right? By this quarter, by this year, in the next 90 days, right? Because until that future is concrete, there's no pulling power. There's no urgency. You just assume you'll wake up with motivation, right? It's just a wish. And wishes do not organize our damn businesses. I've tried. I'll probably try again. A defined future is what finally gives it that. All right. Number 2 is convert the future into those lead indicators, right? This is where most agents will just instantly gain the control they finally need in their business, because the deals will lag, the closings will lag, the commissions will lag, but conversations live much closer to the front end, the present, right? So if you know your math, the future becomes super measurable. Now you can stop obsessing over the annual dream, and you can start protecting, please protect it, your daily drivers. That changes everything. Because now the question is not, how do I magically get 24 deals at the end of the year? The question becomes, what must happen today so that 24 deal future actually can exist? This is a much better question. It forces honesty. It reveals where you're actually building or you're merely reacting. And it starts to show you what your daily floor has to be. Okay. 3 was now that concept of raising the floor, right? We've defined the other things. So many people think growth comes from the highlights that come in our days. Let me give you an example of what that might feel like for you. It's a huge day, meaning you got a great client referral sent your way. You had a huge week because you closed on 3 homes. A massive burst of motivation where you shut the phone off and you just went to town, right? A random sprint midweek because you're like, I just had this moment of flow. But if our floor remains low, the business still feels unstable because we're letting too many of those little things enter the world. If we're still having those 0 days, meaning like no combos, just reactive mornings from the moment that you wake up and you check your phone, and just this misalignment and scattered priorities that happen, then your business is not really growing. It's just wobbling, right? It's just wobbling on the bottom, right? Trying to walk on this is like walking on eggshells. It's just like try to up and down and up and down and up and down. This is why the idea of raising the floor matters so much, right? You stop asking, how do I have bigger days? And you start asking, how do I stop having the 0 days? That's a much better place to go. Because if your future requires, what did we say? 4 real conversations. Your job is not to hit 11 one day and then disappear for 3. It's hard, right? Your job is to stop having and allowing so many zeros, right? This is how your floor rises. This is how the future starts pulling you into the present. This is how time starts feeling, for the first time, slower, cleaner, and more intentional. Let me explain that. Slower time, because you've reduced the time it takes to have those conversations that you know are the leading indicators in your business. If in the past you let so many things happen throughout your days that were not those leading indicator actions, it could take you weeks and months to have enough quality new conversations to drive your business forward. And if that's the case, the quarter goes by and you wonder why you're behind. Time just flew. But we flip it. Time is a tool. You put those blocks in. You understand those are the things. You understand you've now raised the floor to what's most important. So the things that happen are those leading indicator conversations. And you have the number more often. So all of a sudden you've hit that grand total per month sooner. That used to take you 4 months to do it. You've done it in 1. Time has slowed down. You've now achieved what you normally would have in 4 months in 1. And all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, it's not that time is flying. You realize, oh my gosh, I got so much more time because you're achieving. Does that make sense? All right, a second world example I think that might help you hit home on this is the whole world of Dyson. You guys have Dysons in your house? Dyson vacuum, Dyson hair blowers. They're so expensive, but they're so damn good. Dyson's own engineering team is not built around one magical breakthrough moment. Their materials describe relentless testing, thousands of tests, repeated iterations to make sure it works. They say their machines are dropped, they are crashed, they are banged, they are smashed thousands of times while they're developing the tool. And some products spend at least 5 years in their testing. That is raising the floor about what gets out, isn't it? Right? That is not one heroic moment of like, great idea, let's get it to market. This is not waiting for some genius to show up. This is a company saying our baseline has to be stronger. And to achieve through all those crazy tests, we need a standard that's higher and tighter, right? Their process has to be good enough to deliver that often enough, long enough that the quality of that level, that high floor, becomes normal. That is what so many agents are missing. They're still chasing the high. Oops. All right, this is what it looks like. It's like a freaking crazy manic heartbeat, right? They're chasing the spikes. One great week, one massive open house. God, I'm glad I did this one. One super motivated Monday, one massive burst of calls, but the floor still remains low. Those spikes never compound. They're just living in pure drama. Drama makes time feel fast. A stronger, higher floor makes time feel usable. I can get this done. Oh, I'm going to hit those goals. You know what? That's the shift that many of us need. That's the part that people need to hear. It's the part that hit me across the head as I was driving through the mountains and listening to this book. And I had to listen to it there and listen to it back because it was so damn good. So let me be a little bit blunt as we get to the end of this. A lot of us don't need more time at all. I've already got it. You need more courage to eliminate. That's the issue. There is too much in your day still getting treated like it deserves access to your time. Too many things feel equally important, right? No hierarchy. Too many little yeses are quietly killing the bigger future that you want. And this is that uncomfortable part. Growth always disappoints something. If you want a stronger future, something weaker has to be let loose. If you want more aligned time, something misaligned has to be kicked to the curb. All right? If you want to slow down, not feel like you're going crazy, you have to stop filling it with things that speed you up. Right? So again, as we wrap, it could be that checking your phone in the early morning and it sets you off this like rabbit hole of non-important things. It might be that you're too available too often to too many people. You never take the time. You're saying yes to every meeting without filtering it through your floor, right? You're over-tinkering, overthinking, over analyzing the marketing. We are consuming, scrolling, instead of creating first, right? Hoping for inspiration, right? We're mistaking the admin that we continue to tackle for creation of value and driving your business forward, right? We're mistaking busyness for any level of progress. Now, none of them are evil things. They're just parts of the day that aren't serving your needs. They are just expensive when they keep stealing time from the things that will actually create that future that I continue to look off to the right here and say is pulling me forward. That's the key, right? Benjamin Hardy's raising the floor concept is helpful because he ties it directly to saying no to lower standards, less impactful activities. So then that higher goal you're trying to achieve, you probably felt would be impossible because you continue to allow the things to enter your day and there was no room left for things that would be above the floor. It can actually shape what helps you get this done. This is the point. The stronger future forces clearer no's. So let me ask you a few questions. If your next 12 months looked exactly like your last 30 days, where would you end up? Right? Would you get closer to that goal? Would that excite you? That you just live that 30 out again and again and again? Is that really going to get you to the trajectory that you're hoping for? Would that scare you to say, oh shit, yeah, that's not so good. Something's got to change. Or would it expose you? And I think it will. It did me, right? Here's another. What are you doing right now that feels productive, but is not actually pulling your future forward? Not what sounds good. What is real? What in your business needs a no right now? When I ask agents this that I have a chance to coach, they don't want to let go of things. They'll justify things in their mind way too long, and I have to poke and prod and pull, right? So what in your business needs to be a no right now? Not next month, I'll say no, I'll just keep doing it. Not after this deal closes. Not after the things that are calming, that need to calm down. No, like right now. Could you just instantly raise that floor? Because until you answer that, time is still getting used on you instead of used by you, that pull to that future. So now let's flip that, right? If some of that exposed you, some of those language got you thinking, let's flip it. What if you actually use time the right way? What if your future got clear enough that it started cleaning up the present? What if instead 24 deals being done among some abstract dream that you didn't know would ever get there, it became those 4 conversations a day and you protected them like your newborn baby? What if you stopped asking where the quarter went, where the month went, and started deciding what the week must produce for your business because it aligns to that clear goal? Basically, you guys, I'm asking, what if you raise the floor? What if you stopped needing big emotional days and just built a stronger floor, right? What if your business stopped running on those spikes and created some design, like I talk about week after week after week? What if the next 90 days felt slow, clean, focused, and more productive because you finally used time as a tool? That is the crazy opportunity we all have. And that is why I care so much about this. This is why I read and listened to both of those books. This is why I'm taking the time in this podcast to rant on about it. That is why I care so much about this, right? Because I do not think agents are actually that far away, which is the good news. In my own journey, I just had to start saying no to a couple things, and it made all the room in the world. It's one shift that creates that clearer, that stronger future, that better floor, that more protective block, that honest elimination of the shit that we allow in our world. Every single coaching moment I have with someone, there is so much to unpack within this concept over and over again. That is where the momentum is truly hiding. The compounding can actually happen. This is where business gets simpler, less complex, and real clarity starts to happen. So I want to leave you with this. Time is not neutral anymore. It's not just the same seconds that go by the same days and we all have the same, you guys. It responds to how you live instead. Your future, if it is vague, will just keep speeding up. And you'll be like, I don't know how I got in this business and I've been here for 5 years already. If your future is clear, it'll start to slow down. You feel like you can achieve a lot more. You feel like you can reach that goal. If your standards are loose, right, the time disappears into the default world that I'm trying to get us out of. If your floor is higher, time becomes more predictable, more useful, and ultimately more powerful, right? And for us as realtors, this matters because the future deal is not built when it closes. It's built in the conversations you protected week after week, day after day, months earlier, right? That's our truth. And if this episode hit the way that it did me, then don't just like nod your head at this stuff. Step away, think about it, visualize that floor raising, and just visualizing that all the things falling away from your world, and then move into that world. Allow that future to act and to pull you in the present, right? Name it. Do the math. Find the floor. Cut what's not belonging. Because the one thing that will keep happening is the time will keep moving, won't it? It'll just keep trucking along. Either way. The only question is whether we're building the future that we want or reinforcing the defaults that you've tolerated for probably too long. So you guys, thanks for being here. This was the ROAM Podcast. Once again, Realtors on a Mission. If you want that book, go check it out. It's Time is a Tool, Benjamin Hardy, Scaling Your Science of Scaling as well, speaks about raising the floor. They are staples in my world, and I refer back to them often. Hopefully this has helped you. We're going to take this concept deeper into my masterclass, into the ROAM Masterclass. It's free. You have to go to my website, darrenlangille.com. Scroll down, you see Enter ROAM. You'll get into that, and those people in there get all these resources, all these recordings, all the downloadable workshops, sheets, and also come on live in these podcasts with me into these workshops. So for now, don't wait. Take one honest look at your future and let it tell your present what it needs to become. All right, you guys, thanks so much.